Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Mary Rowling, and thank you for joining us for today's webinar. We really appreciate you taking some time to spend with us on this very important topic, Tech Trends for 2019. Just a little bit about on who we are and what we do. We are IMPIGER Technologies. We have been in business for 15 years. We develop custom IT services. We've built over 500 mobile and web applications and implement the latest technologies such as RPA and AI, including our new bot-making platform, Bluefish. If you have any questions or would like to learn a little bit more about our company, feel free to reach out. I'd be happy to assist. We have three speakers today, Ritwik, our Senior Director, Technical Consulting, Travis, our Chatbot Solutions Consultant, and Pradeep, our Chief Delivery Officer. And one last thing before we get started, if you have any questions during the presentation, feel free to type them in the Q&A box in WebEx. We'll be answering questions at the end of the presentation. So without further ado, I will pass it on to Ritwik.
Thank you, Mary, and welcome everyone for this session. We wanted to start this year in terms of talking about the latest and greatest in technologies and how small and medium businesses are actually using these. And we will go through each of these different kind of technologies that are out there and what kind of trends for each of these technologies. So to start with, let's kind of like go with certain quotes. So when we see small and medium businesses, we understand that there is a large number of them out there. In US, there is close to about 30 million small businesses, and 5 million of them are actually just 10 employees. And most of the time that we've seen is like 30% of those businesses are failing within the first 2 years, 50% within the first 5 years, and close to about 70% of these small and medium businesses are not utilizing technology to the best of their ability. And the reason is that big businesses always start small, as Richard Branson said. And it is important that when we start small, we try to adopt these different technologies which are out there. But we need to also understand what are the trends out there. So these are some of the focus tech trends for SMBs. Now, we need to understand why SMBs also fail is because either they do not have a proper customer acquisition or retention strategy, whether there is low in productivity because most of the people who are working with these small businesses are using their day-to-day activities on a regular basis and there is no proactive thinking happening. There is absence of any kind of goals and monitoring, and there is not much of collaboration happening out there. So that's one of the reasons why we've seen that the trends for SMBs have moved up from adopting different kind of technologies, whether it is starting with cloud or mobile. And of late, there is a lot happening in the AI, the artificial intelligence, as well as the machine learning space. There's a lot happening on the analytics side. But the most key important part is the employee interaction. SMBs are also using different kind of tools to allow their employees collaborate and engage within an organization. So we'll touch on each of these specific points as we move ahead, because we have seen that, at certain point of time, SMBs are actually lagging in terms of adopting technologies, but today we see that they are adopting faster in comparison to the large enterprises or the global thousands which are out there. And most important part is the IT side of the business for any SMBs are actually getting the maximum share of adopting these technologies. We see that automation has actually become a more higher importance for each of these SMBs, when we look at them. So what are the different attitudes? Now, we have categorized SMB as very small business, and medium business. But the key aspect is for each of these, if you look at the share of how they want to adopt and develop aggressively is quite high. And this is a source from Breadin, where they have conducted a study on about 498 SMBs. And they've seen that 62% or overall 35% is ready to adopt it aggressively just to kind of like influence their business technologies. In terms of understanding what drives these SMBs for these tech adoption, the top 5 is probably the most important part: functionality, data security, because today every business, I mean, customer is definitely the king, but at the same time, data that is being generated within a business is also becoming very important and crucial, because that kind of like allows us to understand our trend, understand that the longevity of the business, how well we can promote ourselves and be placed in the market. So the top 5 important parts, from functionality, data to process, reliability, and cost, are probably the most key drivers for any SMB in the market. So what are the different things that SMBs are focusing on? And 2019 is definitely one of the crucial year, because a lot of SMBs are using different kind of technologies, whether it is improving, starting with the user experience by itself, and how we can leverage different kind of immersive experience, personalized experience, to adopting different kind of web and mobility technologies, to promote chatbots, because that's kind of like where you can engage with your customers or employees within the organization. A lot on the cloud is happening for SMBs. We are also seeing that SMBs are using blockchain technologies, and we will cover each of these different elements. And taking all of this data, how do we get intelligence out of that data, whether AI can help us or whether AI can improvise that and give us an augmented intelligence. At the same time, how do we improve our overall employee engagement for SMBs? Now, there can be starting from 10 employees to about 500 employees. Still, there is a lot of engagement and collaboration that happens within the organization. So these are some of the things. And finally, we will touch upon how marketing technologies are actually helping SMBs to increase their digital footprint, improve their lead generation tactics, and things like that. So to start with, we will see how UX, which is the user experience, is transforming customer experience. So from the way web design has started, small businesses, it is important that there is a digital face for each of these SMBs. Whether you're a small business looking for a WordPress web design, or you're developing an e-commerce portal, web design should be an integral part of the strategy. And that also affects most of it, because at the end of the day, you would look at how much you're converting. If people are visiting your website, are they getting converted to that? And that directly impacts your return on investment, because you are putting some money across. There is some allocation of budget for marketing. So from year to year, small businesses, they use different kind of web design trends and are adopting these changes. Many of these trends are very momentary or viral in nature. But most of the time, we have seen that there is a steady growth of brand awareness that happens for small businesses using different technologies. Now, that can be from the design aspect of it. That can be from how your customers are coming in and interacting with your website, whether it is through voice, whether it is through chat, whether it is giving them some kind of personalized information. And of course, at the end of the day, design is where they see it, whether it is for mobile first or whether it is for web. So there are certain visual trends that we need to be constantly looking at, styling the design to reach the target audience, because the generation is changing when it comes to experience. And we have to always remember that your web visitors have the attention span of a goldfish, and when they see a long form, a long piece of information on the website, they would probably jump off and go to a competitor site. And that's kind of like what is important, where you can have a much more conversational interface that can do a great job in terms of letting the user focus and enjoy your website better. Now, what it is also is because customer retention, customer satisfaction, or selling, these are the 3 aspects of improving a customer experience. And we have seen that 50% of this particular stat shows from Genesis that they believe that most of the issues in terms of not getting customers, not able to cross-sell, is because the user experience on the web does not have a self-servicing mode for the web visitor. And that's kind of like what we need to focus a lot on. So cloud. Now, coming to cloud, SMBs probably over the last few months, there is a lot of reports which are coming in terms of how SMBs are using cloud and packaged with AI and machine learning, blockchain, or natural language processing. There is a lot happening on cloud. Throughout 2018, small and medium businesses, they were expected to increase their usage of cloud services, and this is from data that is coming out from Azure, from Microsoft, from Amazon, and they use it for simpler activities like data storage, file hosting, or web-based email, or any kind of smaller version of a CRM. But in other words, if I can rephrase that, almost every essential function of business today is using cloud for some purpose. So to make sure that we understand the cloud capability, what we need to understand is how open we are. Even if you have a data center or you're unsure whether a full cloud-based infrastructure is right for you, consider your options. Do your research. Think in terms of not just cost savings but time saving as well. Whether a cloud-based email marketing service will probably help you out in terms of automating your communications with your customers or crunching data. That's very important. So be open to seeing options. Be curious as well. There are different kind of technologies out there that can help, and finding any kind of proven cloud solutions that offer them would be the most critical part. So as a business owner, it is important that we understand what is out there, what the platforms offer, and that way you'll be outpacing even your strongest and largest of competitors in the marketplace. And finally, be brave. Maybe that's because it's increased, the mobility of workforce today. Mobile workforce is quite big, and there's a lot of things which is expected by your mobile workforce in terms of getting information, getting some of the workflows, applying for leave if it is workforce, or whether your customers would want information on the mobile. But it is important to understand that we cannot be a part of the 43%, be one of the ones racing towards the change that could bring your company even greater success. So move out of that and see how more it can be. The cloud is here to stay, and that's for sure. It's not a fad that will come and go. It's not one that's more relevant. Some companies than others, they can kind of like use different aspects, whether it is augmented or intelligence, or whether it is virtual reality. The cloud allows you to personalize your technology in ways that they were not possible earlier. Today, the cloud is not just a place where you can host your solution, where you can get data from. There's a lot more that cloud has to offer for SMBs today. If you have any questions related to any of these specific slides, feel free to use the Q&A box. We would be more than glad to take up those questions at the end of the presentation. So let's look at the apps. Now, everyone knows about apps. In 2018, more small businesses understand the value of a well-targeted mobile app, and that's kind of like what we see. There is a growth of mobile experience by itself, and whether it is responsive, whether it is native mobile application, whether it is application for the enterprise or for the consumers, mobile apps can, at the end of the day, boost your customer loyalty, your brand image, the employee efficiency. Everything can be done. But however, it is important that for a mobile application to succeed, a small business must truly understand the app's goals. You have to decide what are the goals, what are the target audience, and what kind of resources are required to build and maintain an app. It's not just a one-time activity where you have the application built, published on the app stores for your consumers to download, but repeat the activity in terms of understanding what the customers are saying, what they're reviewing, and all of that. So from a trend perspective, what we have seen is that nearly about 42% of small businesses, they actually have a mobile app of their own, and close to about 30% plan to build one in the future. And this is a latest study done by Clutch, which is a third-party analyst company. And they have seen that most of the companies, small businesses, are actually using a mobile app. But there is a issue about how to maintain and make sure that the application is in par with the user experience, and that's where design principles come into place. To large percentage of small businesses, they say that primarily they have built a mobile application to attract new customers, but the experts kind of like always caution them that that's a misguided goal. Do not build a mobile application only to attract new customers. The most important part is make them stay on the application. So over half of small businesses today are actually owned by millennials. I mean, close to about out of the 30 million in US, about 55% of them are millennials, and they have a mobile app of their own. So you can say that 13% of them are actually baby boomers and who are using mobile application as well. They try to go into the mobile first approach. So when it comes to mobility for the consumer, we also need to understand what is it there for the employees. And mobile by itself is a very valuable marketing opportunity, but at the same time, the first users are your employees. I mean, they also want to be using mobile devices because BYOD and bring your own device policies have been incorporated in a lot of companies. They're using applications that can give access to the employees to use different tools. But if you look at the need for digital workplaces, because most of the time people either do not have access to content like work practices, policies, benefits. There's not much of corporate communication happening. There is no flow of bidirectional information, which is it's always most of the time it is top down. So from the management it goes to the employees. Mobile workforce do not get access to it. So we need to understand these different kind of difficulties that businesses go through when in terms of creating a collaborative environment within an organization. And all of them at the end of the day are user-centric, they are functional. So the simple fact is people come to their organization to perform their roles and get work done. And most of the time, a company intranet should make this process more efficient and help users do their jobs. So it is important that we focus on employee experience and engagement, building these problems, these systems to solve any kind of problems, whatever the problem, whether it is from an employee standpoint, whether it is to understand the expenses paid, to deal with a certain customer, how do I get that information? So all of these different features can actually elevate a lot of the pain points. And that's one of the reasons we have seen a trend of an increasing growth of intranets on the mobile as well as on the web, increasing for within the small and medium businesses. And that all boils down to 4 specific points, which is communication, information, collaboration, and business processes. Communication is just to ensure that the organization team or project members, they're getting the right kind of interaction or collaboration happening. Information, as I mentioned, HR policies, documentations, they get to go to the right person based on their access. Collaboration is more on helping support a team member on a particular task or project. And of course, from a process standpoint, whether it is to book a leave or a leave of absence or submitting your expenses. I mean, these are different kind of activities that can be considered when it comes to a digital workplace. So I'll pass over the baton to Travis. Travis is one of our chatbot consultant, and he would take the next few slides. Oh,
howdy, y'all. So chatbot technology is becoming more mainstream now than ever, and it's only going to grow in popularity. I want to touch base on some of the biggest trends we're seeing this year. Just as a reminder, chatbots are a simple user interface that we use as a messaging tool. People are interacting with bots online through different mediums like company websites, social messaging platforms like Facebook, and even smart speakers like Amazon Echo. For businesses, they need to think about who their stakeholders are when deploying these new technologies. So I'm looking at 4 major areas where chatbots are affecting us in very powerful ways. Starting with customers, they've always been the forefront of any business endeavor, and advances in translating bot personas from cold, calculating machines continues to evolve into these better user experiences. So these better humanized experiences are hitting home with advancements in sentiment analysis, predictive analytics, and image recognition. Sentiment analysis is that process where bots use to identify their recipient's emotional state, and they're adjusting their responses to reflect that. Sentiment analysis has always been widely used in practices like marketing and politics for people to prepare and to adjust their communication strategies. And through the power of analytics, designers are able to rate keywords that users are using with their bots, and they're crafting those responses to match a perceived sentiment. Analytics, as we know, are driving optimization in our successful chatbots. In predictive analytics, we can better understand our users' behaviors and manage resources better. The data that we're collecting through artificial intelligence, machine learning, and statistics and other different points are exponentially increasing the power that chatbots are giving to predict user intents. Image recognition is a really interesting trend because you can share multimedia with a chatbot and it can recognize or see an image and interpret it in its own words. As a very basic example, if you send a bot an image of a pizza, it would tell you it sees a pizza. So consumer tech is constantly evolving, and chatbots are following that suite. With the advent of virtual reality, augmented reality, and even more intuitive controls that touch base on those human senses, chatbots are bridging that gap between voice and text communication. While voice text is not super new, its integration with the Internet of Things is quickly becoming mainstream. Right now, you can vocally tell a chatbot to start your washer at home or heat the oven, but now the text version of that is being added. One of the most powerful use cases for chatbots has been their ability to generate leads with benefits like 24/7 coverage. Your marketing team is gaining incredible analytics from that dashboard. Top key performance indicators like unhandled messaging queues are giving insights on those bounce rates when visitors are leaving your chatbot. In a sense, chatbots are becoming a more user-friendly snapshot of Google Analytics, with different metrics like total sessions, total messages in and out, and intent tracking for workflow or goal completions. Someplace that often gets overlooked is how the chatbot ecosystem is enriching the lives of employees within a company. We all know that they're removing those repetitive tasks with the benefit of automation. But the big trends that we're seeing in 2019 is that increased integration with other systems. Take IPAs like employee calendars or booking appointments or HR systems for filing payroll and vacation requests. Employees are experiencing a facilitation in their workflows that's leaving more room to focus on those meaningful tasks. And it's also giving them an opportunity to have their voices heard and to have leadership share their initiatives top down. Perhaps the biggest trend in my eye is how user-friendly chatbot development is becoming. In the past, programmers with experience in Python or C# languages were the bot creators. Now, we are at a point where if you understand basic workflows and can build decision trees, you can make a bot yourself. So chatbots are very much a personal assistant to all of us. Through the continuing evolution of integration and connection with the Internet of Things, they're handling more and more tasks. Chatbots really have become this new secretary, and they can go so far as to remotely manage not only your home, but other satellite offices with the right integration. Now, I just really want to spend a moment to talk about conversational marketing and chatbots. There's this preconceived notion that simply having a bot on your website will magically increase your business. I just want to emphasize that effective bot language is conversational language. You need creatives like copywriters to construct those tactful messages, displaying the emotions in that sentiment analysis that meet your user's intent. And it's not just enough to solve problems these days. Any bot can solve a problem, but now user experience or UX is more important than ever. We've come a long way in the evolution of technology. From phone to email to mobile apps, chatbots are just simply meeting humans on their own turf, and that's text messaging. But we're already seeing the push toward more intuitive interfaces where chatbots are evolving in the future with the likes of Alexa and virtual reality as a medium. Wherever people decide to reside, you as a business need to meet them there. Now, I really just want to briefly illustrate a few of those major use cases that are universally being applied across all the industries. Remember, chatbots have traditionally been placed in a customer service role, but now they're expanding to engage with both your employees and your other stakeholders by integrating with those multiple CRM systems. If trends are telling us anything, it's only a matter of time until chatbots consistently pass that Turing test. Statistics out there are telling us that chatbots are here to stay, just like the cloud. And if your business is not already using one, you're missing out on a huge resource to increase your bottom line. Just take a look at some of these major statistics across the board. Can you believe that there are already 300,000 chatbots on Facebook's messaging platform alone? How can you make your chatbot stand out across all the masses? You stand out with your brand personality, and you stand out by incorporating those qualities of your company culture and sharing them through your chatbot. I cannot tell you how powerful it is to step in there with your persona, your personality, your brand, and make it alive through your chatbot.
Thank you, Travis. That was really good. So we will talk now about blockchain. Now, blockchain is something that we've been hearing. We keep getting emails about different technologies, different blog articles, blog posts on social networks and all. But at the end of the day, we need to look at it, how blockchain actually can help small and medium businesses. So let's look at what blockchain is all about and how does it help businesses. So it is basically the way the technology works is to help in different aspects of the business, whether it is from documentation to connections. But using blockchain technology, it only, at the end of the day, it makes sure that your data is safe and secured. There are a lot of business benefits that are out there regarding data. Which is very clear that every business requires, at the end of the day, understanding the data that it's populating. But most of the time, what happens is blockchain technology, it is making these data strategies easily accessible. Now, all that is great about leveraging data aside, only what we have seen is like 23% of small and medium businesses have a good data strategy. And that's based on an analytics survey that IBM did recently. But it is important that big data strategy and blockchain strategy goes hand in hand, to assess any kind of challenging activities for small businesses. So blockchain technology, it's an innovative solution that actually makes developing a data strategy cost-effective and user-friendly for small business. Now, small business owners, they can actually increase their competitive stance by leveraging any kind of data and analytics that is derived out of blockchain. So how does blockchain help small and medium enterprises with limited budgets that can take advantage of these data and analytics? The answer to this question lies in the decentralization of the process. Every small business has certain process involved, and we need to look at the ways that these simpler processes can be powered by blockchain. Blockchain is basically, it's a platform powered by either machine learning or AI or different kind of process automation for analyzing these high quality data, providing you insights, at the same time also giving access to you in terms of validating, certifying, identifying all of these different aspects of your business. And these are just some mere examples of how small businesses are using blockchain to leverage that for their benefits. Now, the way blockchain is made up of is data blocks. There are like blocks of data, and all of these collection of blocks, which are always expanding because as business grow, everyday functions, the data it gets collected by these blocks, and they are ever expanding. So we need to understand that each of these data is actually holding some key information about the business, whether it is about a document or like. So let's take an example. If you were to purchase a truck, the information about the purchase would be stored on a central computer, probably at the DMV. What happens with blockchain? That information is split up amongst all of these blocks on the chain itself. So a single party does not have control over the entirety of the information. So that makes a ledger truly decentralized because it is trusted among the users. And how do you keep these information secured? You use different equations, mathematical equations behind blockchain that can protect and ensure that there is no fraud happening, any kind of payment information is not going out. So this is typically how small and medium businesses are actually using blockchain. So there are typically two keys to it. One is to understand what kind of assets you have, what kind of digital assets that is involved within your organization, and also to understand who are the users, whether the users are outside of your organization, like your suppliers, vendors, or who are the stakeholders within the organization. So once we understand the dynamics between the data and the people who are using this data, blockchain can actually ensure that everything is safe and controlled in terms of its accessibility. And also a very important part is today, small and businesses, medium businesses, they have a lot of contracts and paperwork that goes on, whether it is digital contracts, and to enforce that there is no unbreakable obligations that is coming out of any documentation, blockchain can actually automate that entire process of controlling. That can help the small businesses streamline their contracts and save on any kind of transactional cost that might come in. So the primary method that small businesses use blockchain technology today is in the form of ensuring that any kind of payment transactions are happening, it's going securely. And that's primarily one of the reasons small and medium businesses are adopting blockchain technologies at the best. So coming from the mobile experience to cloud, to blockchain, to chatbot, at the end of the day, we look at intelligence. What kind of intelligence I'm getting out of all of these solutions which are out there? What kind of intelligence I'm getting out of the data that is coming out? So every business starts with the basic intelligence part, whether I'm capturing the data from my web analytics tool, whether I'm utilizing that data to actually analyze any kind of structure within the organization. I can use certain robotic process automations and bots like chatbots or RPA systems to actually ensure that some of the mundane tasks that are being done by an employee can be done by a bot, and the employee can focus on much more richer thinking. And that's where augmented intelligence takes in place. So what augmented intelligence is, it's just an alternative concept of artificial intelligence, because that focuses AI's assistive role in advancing any kind of human capabilities. So that's where we have the win-win situation where an employee and an AI tool can work together for the benefit of the organization. So augmented intelligence reflects on most of the ongoing impact of AI that can simplify or at the same time amplify any kind of human innovations. And today we see that the current intelligence systems which are out there, they seem to be more shortcuts that can detect patterns based on statistical methods, but they still do not have understanding of what they have detected. So augmented intelligence actually overrides the critical problem of AI adoption and making the system more reactive than being more proactive. So take an example like a human driver. He has the ability to make an educated guess about what will happen on the road within 10 seconds in the future, whereas a current AI system have no way to make such predictions. I mean, it cannot actually do it within that 10 seconds. So that's where augmented intelligence can make some difference. The trick is to train the system in such a way that it accurately recognizes the subject that it is trained on, as well as offer any kind of reasonable performances when it comes to any kind of road hazards. And for the driver, that is what would help them understand that, okay, this is kind of information that I'm getting from a tool. So what today most of the small businesses are using is the AI digital assistant or the robotic process automation, but the next gen of small and medium businesses are actually using tools that can help them understand these data, analyze these data in a much more a proactive way rather than being a reactive stand. But we need to also understand the benefits what it would bring to the SMBs. AI can give better branding to SMBs. I mean, that's definite. AI has evolved through self-learning. Today, there are a lot of AI-powered machines and applications which are able to learn, adapt, and even make decisions by reflecting on experiences that the business has brought them. AI can be used to find more customers. When you combine your data, your existing data of how you have got a particular customer, how you sold a product to your customer, all of this data can be analyzed by AI, and at the end of the day, you will have tons of information on your customer, like what is their buying patterns, what was their purchase history, or what you can cross-sell or upsell in the near future to that particular customer. So these are different kind of simpler use cases that AI can bring onto the table. And finally, for small and medium businesses, as I mentioned earlier, that close to about 70% of the businesses fail in the first 5 years is just because there is either a lot of data that is there which is mishandled, data that is not protected. So AI can actually protect from any kind of cyber attacks, and that's where cybersecurity also takes a lot of place, and AI plays a crucial role to it in terms of protecting all of your documentations, predicting that there might be an attack because how your systems are currently on the cloud or the accessibility of the systems. So AI can actually take care of those elements. And one thing when we see the marketing side of it, and that's covering the marketing technology trends, small businesses they can use AI to the best of as a short-term solution, because most of the time AI it's a self-learning tool, so you can quickly deploy like a chatbot, AI-driven chatbot, or an analytics tool for the backend, and then start working on it. But if you look at it, applications to their customers, they just don't come onto your website. They are using Alexa. They're using different kind of devices to interact with the business. For example, we have Uber application on our phones, and we, as a consumer, I can book a cab at any point of time. But today I can book a cab through my Alexa. I don't even have to switch on the application, turn on the application, and go through the entire process. I can ask Alexa to book a cab for me. So there are different ways even businesses are using AI for marketing purposes, whether it is for email campaigns, whether it is for social campaigns, whether it is getting the insights of different kind of digital marketing activities that the business is performing. So AI is definitely in reach for small businesses in terms of to start with marketing as the first priority. So looking at all of these different trends, starting from UX to web and mobility to cloud, blockchain, we discussed different kind of trends that businesses are utilizing. First of all, I think it's important that as a small business owner, start with a web presence, because that's the most important time, because it's time to change that. 2019, we are looking at more interaction on web and mobility. So have a strategy that can adopt these kind of technologies out there. And if your business does not is not consuming the data that is being populated, it is time to invest on managing that data, analyzing that data. And when do you think, what's the right time for me to move to a cloud? And that's probably one of the questions every small and medium businesses ask, whether this is the right time for me to go to cloud. It is important that there are certain indicators that you can focus on. Your budget for maintaining the systems in-house can be increasing, if you're not moving onto the cloud. So ensure that whatever systems you have, if they are moving to the cloud, whether that would have cost benefit, whether you're spending more time waiting for your data to populate than you're using it. So it's important that all of these data that is being generated, how long does it take for your internal systems to give you that data, and how long does it take to analyze that data, whether you can utilize an AI tool or an insights tool to basically give you that amount of data. At the same time, look at some of these different kind of tech adoptions, whether it is chatbots to help you start with simpler use cases like lead generation or customer engagement, or letting your web visitor ask question if they have any questions regarding your products or services. Let them answer that, and because they are 24/7. These chatbots are always happy. They will not get frustrated with the kind of questions that they see on the web. So look at different aspects, because SMBs today are adopting chatbots like anything. Most of the websites, whether it is an online store, e-commerce portal, or whether it is just a professional services, they are using chatbots almost regularly. So it is important that we understand that and go beyond software. It's always to think about the omnichannel experience. My customers, whether they're just coming to me on web or mobile, if they're coming through Alexa or through Google Home, should they be able to communicate with us in different form, or are they coming through social networks like Facebook or any other messenger services? So use a combination of all of these hardware, software, ensure that your experience goes beyond that. So what I would like all the attendees of this session to do is use this slide deck as a reference that can help you identify the tech that is required for your business and try to assign a value. I mean, each of these solutions, starting from your web, mobile, cloud, blockchain, try to see how much of impact that would have from your sales and marketing and operations standpoint, and give a weightage to each of these technologies which are out there. And then just pick one of them. You don't have to look at all of them, because once you pick one, there is a way that you can assign that as a pilot and see how it has influenced your business from a positive standpoint. Whether it is just a chatbot to start with, whether it is a website or a mobile application, or having your applications move to the cloud, utilizing blockchain for any specific contractual obligations if you have a lot of documentation related work. So use this particular deck to prioritize that, and then just pick one and still go with that.
Okay, thank you so much for Rick and Travis. We're going to start with some Q&A. We have several questions to go over with time permitting. So let's get started. The very first one is AI-powered chatbots. Very interesting. I would like one on my web portal. How long would it take to get one for my website, and what is the cost?
Sure, I can answer that, Mary. This is Travis. So when it comes to adding a chatbot to your website, talking about timeline, typically it depends on the complexity of the chatbot you want to put on with the amount of use cases. But from a very simple perspective, you want to have like a Q&A, kind of frequently asked questions point of view, it can take as little as 2 weeks once the contract's signed, and usually implement it before the end of within 1 month. And when we look at cost, again, it kind of just ties into how many different use cases do you want. But there's always going to be a setup cost that comes with it, which is the integration and kind of like the programming of the workflows initially. And there's usually a monthly subscription for the maintenance and changes that come along with it. So the price can really vary depending on the complexity.
Thank you, Travis. Here is another one. They were curious about cloud security concerns. Pradeep, can you handle this one?
Sure, Mary. So it's a very good question, and cloud security is something which is on top of everybody's mind today. Various things to take into account when we are managing data in the cloud. So there are two aspects to this. One, if you're hosting your own solution on cloud, you can actually encrypt your data and ensure that you've got your data secure at your customer level. This way, you own all of the data that you have, and cloud security is more in your hands. The other part of cloud security comes in is when you're using services. Let's say, for example, Ritvik mentioned that we make use of cloud-based email services to send out emails to our customers. We make use of cloud-based services like chatbots, which allow us to interact with our customers. Now, most of the cloud platforms today come up with various certifications and privacy statements which give us information and tell us that they are actually secure. Uh, that's something which you definitely need to take care of and ensure that when you're signing up with such a vendor, cloud security and data privacy is something which has been taken care of. Now, you can definitely reach out to us and we can give you a questionnaire that would help you, you know, we can help you find such a vendor who has all of these in place. And our cloud security questionnaire will help you identify and pick the right vendor in this case. Most cloud vendors ensure that data is private and the data that you actually are hosting part of the platform is segregated so that tomorrow if you want just your data to be taken away and you want to go away from them, they should be able to segregate or remove just your data. All of this would be part of the initial contract that you sign up with these cloud providers, and we can help you through a questionnaire which will help you find out and identify such a provider.
Thank you, Pradeep. Here's another question. As a small business, I have limited resources to invest in new initiatives. Could you please tell me what are a few things I can do in 2019 and budget for that and ROI I can expect? Ritwik, can you take?
Yes, I'll take that question. That's a great question because that's probably one of the crucial question every small business asks because they have limited capital investments and budgets planned. So to start with, now here's the thing: what kind of a small business are you? I mean, are you focusing on professional services, or whether it is health-related services, or e-commerce? It kind of like differs in a way, but I would always say that you can always start with one initiative, and that could be the presence of your website, how that website is, how your business is functioning, whether digital marketing would actually help in that, and how do we use some of these marketing technologies like chatbots. Now, to start with, yes, you can initiate a web presence with a chatbot on it so that you can understand customer experience. You can generate leads from that. And from a budget standpoint, it's not too expensive to have a good website which takes into account the latest technologies like responsive designs, or a mobile-first kind of an approach where you would want to capitalize on the users who are mobile and would connect to you. From a budget standpoint, it varies, but I would say for a website and for a chatbot put together, you can probably look at anywhere between $20,000 of investment, one-time investment, where you can have a good website designed, which is responsive in nature. It has a chatbot in it, and you can interact, and with limited kind of use cases. And it can go up depending on how complex your backend is. So it differs. So that's kind of like probably the start budget, I would say. And what kind of ROI you would expect? Yes, ROI can be in two folds. One is qualitative, one is quantitative. Now, of course, quality-wise, it definitely improves a lot. It gives you a better understanding of whether you are reaching the right demographic of your audiences, whether you're targeting the right kind of customers to come to your website to search about you on the digital side, whether you're using right kind of keywords in your website and making full use of those keywords for organic search to come to your portal or to your business. So that's definitely from a quality standpoint. From quantity, it kind of like improves over the time. It's not a one-time fix where immediately you will start seeing results. Normally, any of these initiatives takes about 3 months for you to see results in terms of how much of money of budget you've spent on the chatbot, on the website, and how it is slowly improving. It's an ongoing process, which means you have to regularly optimize your website, your web portal, your mobile application, promote that, have different kind of leverage these social networking sites which are out there to promote your business, to promote your products and services. So it will come, the ROI will be seen probably once your website is live and it starts interacting in about 3 months down the lane.
Thank you, Ritwik. Here's another question. So they have just announced on the national news that companies like Hotels.com recorded each keystroke on their app. How do we ensure that these or other companies don't capture our customers' information and then not sell it?
Let me take that up. Absolutely, this is something which has been on the news today, and it's not just keystrokes. There are also articles which actually state that certain applications on the iPhone are also capturing the actual screenshots, and they are actually being stored off of third-party cloud providers, and hopefully they're not making use of any such data. So yes, there are definitely. So it depends on how it's being used. But if you as a company are actually signing up for, let's say, an application which is going to provide services, let's say a white labeled application which is going to provide such services, we definitely need to ensure that it does go through a form of security review. There are good number of application tests that can be performed to ensure that such actions are not being performed on your site. Or on your application. So these things can actually be tracked, and these are services which companies like us offer, and we can actually perform a security or a vulnerability check and let you know whether or not the applications are safe for use. Typically, you sign up with an app provider who builds and puts all of this together, and as part of the review process between you and the provider, you ensure that the data that you are actually capturing as part of it for your business is stored within your servers or is stored in a segregated manner that is only accessible to you.
Thank you, Pradeep. So we have time for just a couple more questions. If I can do only one thing, what would you recommend me do, and how much should I allocate for that?
Okay, so I think that a part of this answer is I covered in the last question, where the question was, as a small business, I have limited resources to invest in new initiatives, which is the thing that I should focus on. So I think it's important, the first thing is understand your data which is out there, analyzing that data. If you do not have a web presence, first thing is have a web presence, because today the world is digital in nature. So it is important that you have a web presence. If you are a small business where you do a lot of marketing activities in terms of promoting your products and services on the web world, whether it is on Google search engines or different search engines, allocate some kind of budget for doing some of these digital marketing campaigns, whether it is paid campaigns or organic campaigns. So focus on the digital, on the presence side first, because that will that itself can evolve into a way for you to understand whether you have whatever you've invested as the first thing, you can do that. Now, if you already have a web presence, go with the chatbot. If you do have a chat interface present on your website, then I would recommend to take the chatbot, use some of the analytics and intelligence tools to basically utilize these data that has been provided to your organization from these tools and analyze that. So invest on that first, and how much you should allocate. I think allocation is based on the time and effort and the people behind it. So always make sure that you have a closed user group in terms of identified people within your organization who can take up the role in terms of analyzing and understanding these data points. And of course, from a budget standpoint, as I mentioned, there are different kind of budget allocations that you can do, starting with how much of that budget will go into the marketing activities, whether it is these PPC campaigns, or how much of that budget. So I would say have a 80-20 rule where 80 can go into the or from a budget standpoint, can go into understanding and contributing and paying for these tools, and 20% can actually go in terms of doing any kind of organic search within the organization and promoting or utilizing your internal resources to help the business promote better.
Thank you, Ritwik. Here is another question. Does Chatbot work for only website customers or for employees as well? Travis, do you want to take this one?
Yeah, so I talked about this earlier, but just to reiterate, the common idea is that chatbots are only for customer service, but the use cases for chatbots have expanded, and employee engagement is a big part of it right now. And you can look at it anywhere from the HR side, where employees can literally go onto the website, put in their login credentials, and request PTO directly through the chatbot and process that entire HR process through it. And they don't have to go through all the heavy paperwork. They can do it all digitally right there with the chatbot. On the other side of it, there's recruitment as well. So when it comes to recruiting new applicants for positions with your company, Chatbot can handle that and do the pre-screening and do the qualifying and set up your recruiters with good applicants. So chatbots have evolved from just being customer-facing to employee-facing as well and beyond. So the use case, it really is up to the imagination.
Thank you, Travis. I think we have time for one last question. Let me see. I am a small business. If there are 3 things I need to consider for 2019, what would it be?
I'll take that up, Mary. Yes, so 3 things to consider for 2019 is definitely the digital marketing side of it, your web presence. Invest in some kind of marketing technologies which are out there, whether it is digital tools that can promote better, whether it is any kind of email campaign tools that you can utilize. There are a lot of new tools for specifically built for small and medium businesses, which goes on a SaaS model. So you have a subscription-based fee that you can pay, and that does not require you to have anything on your own, on your own network. It can be a cloud-based system or solution provider that you can partner with and work with them. And at the same time, I would definitely mention about chatbots, because that's the best way to get started in terms of getting more customers, improve the process inside, and also understand whether you are targeting the right kind of customers at the end of the day.
All right, thank you, Ritwik, and thank you everyone who have for attending today and spending some time with us talking about tech trends for 2019. You will be receiving a email with a PDF of this deck and a recording from this webinar. So expect that in your email tomorrow. Thank you so much for all your time, and we hope you guys have a wonderful day.